their proper places. First, State's Attorney Greg Bernstein must issue some indictments against those police officers that killed and murdered Tyrone West. It was simply murder. How many police officers does it take to restrain one man? How many police officers does it take to kill one man?
That's right.
What happened that night was a travesty.
Yes.
We're not going to accept it. We're going to stand someplace every Wednesday until something is done. You know, it's a pattern that the Baltimore City Police Department is running into now. They've considered war on the black men in Baltimore City all over the nation, as a matter of fact. We have to make a stand somewhere. We have to step forward. Be reminded that an election is coming up in June 14th of next year.
We won't forget.
We won't forget if justice is not done.
That's right.
We know that justice is not only according to the law, but justice is also being fair, doing what's right.
That's right.
We won't stand for it. So once again, no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
But those police officers, my fault, was wrong. And because they were wrong for doing that, I'm not stopping until I get justice.
Mr. West's sister.
I just want to let y'all know that we are very hurt and really affected by this. My whole family is really, truly affected by this. And right now, we don't feel safe. We feel like it's us against the police department right now. I don't feel safe at all. And I just want y'all to know, we got to take this serious because it could be you. It could be you
That's
next.
right.
It could be you. No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
Tyrone West is on, and I am here to say that we truly miss our beloved Tyrone. And there was no reason for him to be murdered by all of these police officers like they did. They actually murdered my feel like a violent person. I'm driving down the street, pressing on the accelerator, holding on to the steering wheel, asking God to please, God, help me not to run into anybody. God help me. And who's next? Don't say that's you because it will be you.
It could be you.
Coming into their schools saying that they going to protect and serve them, and yet they killing their uncles and their cousins and their fathers and their brothers.
I just had Officer Friendly in my class 2 weeks prior to my brother's killing. Disgusting. And I just want everybody to know that they use excessive force on one man. Police brutality on one man. It was 15 officers on one man. One man.
One man.
One man.
One man.
One man.
One man.
One man.
One man.
I'd just like to show my support for Tyrone West family. Standing here in solidarity with him today, just to bring the fact that this is a widespread issue. I myself am a victim of police brutality. I myself am a victim of police taking the life of loved ones and friends. From California to Baltimore, we stand in solidarity with Tyrone West family, Anthony Anderson's family, my cousin Adam Bluford, Ernest Dunn,
That's right.
Oscar Grant,
Say it, sir.
James Riviere.
All right.
Oh, we got a lot of them, folks. And we're here, and like we say, each and every Wednesday, we will be here until this is resolved. We demand justice. We demand this damn state's attorney and these people to come out here and do the right thing and charge the police that's killing our families, killing our black men, killing our people of color of their skin. This has to stop. This unjust system, the unjust laws.
That's right.
You know, protecting them, hiding them behind those badges and giving them the right to just go out and shoot and kill people and beat people, pull people out of cars and beat them. What kind of stuff is that? You get pulled over for a traffic ticket, it shouldn't result in your death.
That's right.
And you don't have no guns, no weapons, and nothing being drawn upon them.
That's right.
So we stand in solidarity with the West family. And we're going to keep doing this until we get justice. Because I myself am a father of five grandchildren. kids.
Right.
I got 3 boys and I got 3 grandsons, and God forgive if I want something like this to happen to them.
Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Welcome to West Wednesday number 365. It's been a full year of West Wednesdays. I'm going to turn this over to Tawanda Jones. Mic check.
Mic check.
So actually, it's been 7 years. Just ironically that the number is 365, which, 365 days is 1 year, but it's actually been 365 weeks, which amounts to 7 years. And we've been doing this nonstop, and I apologize that we're running late tonight. And because of the storm, we're having technical issues, and it's not even showing up. I'm trying to share a watch party actually from Ben and Bill's page, and it's not letting me do it. I don't know if it's on or not, but nevertheless, tonight I was supposed to have Stephon Clark's grandmother, Miss Thompson, but I'm thinking she's having technical issues as well. And the uncle of Jarrell Gray, he should be joining us shortly. He has a power outage right now, so he's working on trying to get his power up and running. But as you know, and then I have my other brother, he's in New Jersey, and he's supposed to be joining us as well, but he's having technical issues. But as you all know, West Wednesday never stops. Whether it's raining, the sleet, the snow, or even if people show up, we always there, and everybody's actually trying. So if we can't get them on tonight, we'll definitely reschedule and do it next week. But as you can see, police brutality is not easing up, and that video that we just showed is very significant to me, because that is one of our first videos that we made with West Wednesday. Shout out to Baltimore Block. That was day 27. Even though we started West Wednesday immediately after my brother Tyrone West was brutally murdered, but Baltimore Block showed up literally like, on day 27, and they started videoing us. And as you can see, my uncle, and he did an amazing job. He used to be the spokesperson for the family, because I couldn't talk, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't do anything. But I knew that I had to be there, and it was almost like I was like dead for like a whole 2 months. And finally, I mustered up the strength to be able to talk. And since then, you can't shut me up. Police brutality is real, and I wouldn't wish this type of pain on anyone's family. Even though I'd be honored to bring on special guests, but I'm not honored because we share the same type of pain, and that's losing the people that we love by the hands that are supposed to serve and protect us. And as you know, the only people they're serving is us deaf, and they're the ones protected while they're doing this. As you can see recently on the news and whatnot, they just showed officers getting away with all type of stuff. Recently, this morning I saw another car chase. They were serving some tow truck driver with a warrant or something, and the passenger in his vehicle some sort of way fell out and tragically died. But I blame Baltimore City Police Department. For one, you shouldn't even be chasing nobody. Like literally, if you have a warrant, you know where people live at. You are not supposed to put people's lives in danger. And then recently, last week, I saw a young lady that was murdered, her and another passenger in her car, because some young kids stole a car and the police started chasing her. And don't get me wrong, people are not supposed to break the law to have the police chase them. I get all that. But at the end of the day, these are supposed to be professional officers, and they're supposed to weigh what to do and what not to do. If you, for one, they're supposed to not even be able to chase folks. Especially like in a neighborhood where you see that if it's more risky that you can hurt somebody and take somebody's life, then you shouldn't do it. But see, they're comfortable with taking out life, and that is the problem. That's a big problem. And at the end of the day, right now we got a state's attorney that don't want to prosecute these killer cops. It's a persona that she's putting on, like, oh, all this stuff with the Freddie Gray stuff, but it's a bunch of foolishness. She have yet to return my phone call. This was 3 years ago. I sat down with Marilyn Mosley, sat down with her, and the crazy part, and shout out to Ryan Dorsey, he set the meeting up. Had it not been for Ron Dorsey, let's be crystal clear, she wouldn't even have met with me. Even though she said when I met with her, she's like, you know you didn't need Ron Dorsey. Yes, I did, because you ignored my family and everything. Had it not been for Ron Dorsey advocating on the behalf of the West family and setting up and he was fresh in office. He wasn't trying to use my family for anything. He was already a councilman, but he was trying to do the right one as my council person. He set this meeting up as the moderator. They played games. They left poor Ron Dorsey downstairs. They escorted me upstairs by myself to meet with Jane Valexo, Stacey Noellen, and Marilyn Mosley. And they thought those three was tough enough for me. You gotta be kidding me. I done sat down with more folks than that. I came in this world by myself, and I'm gonna leave out by myself. So at the end of the day, you can put me in any meeting by myself. I'm still gonna represent Tyrone West and the West family. I'm still gonna represent. And as you can see, like I said in that video that was nearly 7 years old, you can see the way, you know, things are still the same, but the way that my family changed and the way we're fighting. We should not be standing on anyone's corner, still demanding accountability 7 years later. And what they're doing to me is justice delayed is justice denied. Let's be crystal clear. They're letting all this time come into play so that way witnesses can die off, people can move on, go about their life. But meanwhile, my brother was murdered. He can't be a part of his beautiful children's life. He has grandchildren that he never got a chance to be. My brother is a young man. He would have only been 51 this year. This man raised me. He was the glue to my whole family. And I'm not going to go there because I learned it's okay to cry, but I won't dare, if I can help it, shed a tear to let these killers see it, because they feed off of tears. It's almost when a rape victim is getting raped and then her predator is getting off on her screaming. They get off on our families crying. They don't give a damn about our tears, because if they did from day one when these killers does these type of atrocities, they would handle them accordingly. And right now, while the world is watching, right now, while and my heart goes out to George Floyd family, because that man was murdered again in broad daylight. They don't care if the camera's rolling, they don't care if it's not rolling, they don't care. And right now what you having is law enforcement officers take this thing and turn around. I heard a law enforcement officer had the nerve to turn around and say that the protesters are the domestic terrorists. Are you freaking kidding me? When you guys terrorized our communities for decades, for over 400,000 years to be exact. Let's be crystal clear. You guys are the terrorists. And let's be clear on that. And if y'all can get away with murder and nobody does nothing, so right now, as an advocate for police brutality, as an advocate for my brother, and I don't even like to use that word, as a freedom fighter, we're demanding not only that you open up Tyrone West case, but you open up every case. I done had sisters that I met through the struggle who lost their children, were murdered. 20, Angelo, 10 years ago. His mother still demanding accountability. All of us are demanding accountability. I don't care if the case is so cold that you can't even put ice on it, that it's that cold, freezing to the point that it's frozen. I don't give a damn. Let's thaw it out, open it back up, and charge these killer cops accordingly. It is disgusting. And then for me to see that a sergeant just was arrested for child pornography. Like, are you freaking kidding me? A pervert. You know, they supposed to be watching us, but he's watching children, sick bastard. That is disgusting to me. A pervert. And most of them are perverts. And it's just sad to say that. And I remember, and I'm still say with passion, I am not anti-police. I am anti-police brutality. But when you see more bad than good, it's like, how can good folks work around all that? And I get it, we all got a tough job. Right now we're dealing with a pandemic on top of a pandemic on top of a pandemic. You know what I mean? It's just so much that's going on. You get what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's all about integrity. And to me, it seems like integrity does not live or exist in this world. Integrity and loyalty, and that's on all fronts. I'm not even just going to say when it comes down to police officers. I'm just dealing with people, individuals at work. I see a lot of people just don't care. It's just this mindset of, I'm going to get mine, like Boom said, you got to get yours. When we're all in this together, it's ridiculous how we don't support each other. But the minute something bad happens, then people will ride from miles, and you know what I mean, to come to somebody's damn funeral. But meanwhile, you live in that person's neighborhood, you won't even check them. You won't even pick up the phone and say, hello, how you doing? It's way too much. You never know what's going on. We in a time now, we don't know if COVID-19 is going to get us and wipe us out. We don't know if a killer cop. We don't know if community violence. We don't know what might happen. We don't even know if we might just lay down and have a heart attack, anything. You get what I'm saying? There's so much going on, but this is the time that I say love needs to be spread, not hate. Because to me, if I would have hated anybody, I wouldn't even have got this far. Even though I hate what happened to my brother, and I'll always say that, but I don't hate anyone. I don't hate anyone. I hate the way the system is designed to wipe us all out. It's messed up. It totally needs to be knocked down and built back up. But at the end of the day, I do not hate anyone. To me, once you start hating and you let hate or any negativity fill your mindset, you will not be able to do anything. And to me, you'll start acting as the people that we're calling out. You'll start taking their mentality of not caring, and that's not that's not the answer. You get what I'm saying? I look at today, like while at work, I saw a little kid really scared of the rainstorm. Like she was holding herself, crying and everything, and I had to comfort her. But I said all that to say the innocence and all that. When I think about a baby when they're born in this world, nobody's born into this world of, oh, I'm going to hate somebody. I'm going to grow up and be a killer cop. I'm going to grow up to be a racist. I'm going to grow up and just kill people in my community. Nobody grows up like that. At some point, something goes wrong. But the thing is making it right. Some things I know that you can't make right, but at the end of the day, some things you can make right. And when you see somebody doing something wrong, don't roll with them because it feels like it's good or you don't want to say nothing, because silence condones violence. When you step back and you see anybody wrong somebody, or rather it's just a basic conversation and they don't have integrity and they make somebody feel like crap, you supposed to step in and say, you know what, let's end it right there. This thing is doing it. This going the wrong way. You don't say nothing. You're co-signing on that. It's too much hate out here. It's too much hate. We need to start loving on each other, because guess what? At the end of the day is not promised to no one. At the end of the day, you don't even know if you might even see the end of the day. Why not love people? This life is about memories. When you look back, when that casket closed or you get cremated, when your life is over and it's said and done, what will your story say? History comes into his or her story. What will your story say for your life? Did you treat people crappy? Will people be talking like you like a dog? Or would they say, you know that man or that woman, they lived in love and peace and integrity? Even if your life been awful, whatever, stop blaming people. Start over. Every day that you get a new day on God's earth, you get a chance. And even if you don't believe in God, you get a day on this in this universe, right? You get a day on the universe. That is a day to reset that button, and whatever happened so bad that day before, you get to start all over again. Because guess what? There's some people that cannot push the reset button. They can't. They wish that they could. They either stuck, they're dead, or even stuck in the jail. Stuck in the jail cell for the rest of their life and don't even know how I feel to feel fresh air outside. Think about this. Think about all the homeless people out here. While it's raining, I'm in my car trying to riding through, and the whole time I'm praying like, oh my God, what about this homeless man or woman or the homeless family that's laying out here in a storm? At least we get to go to some shelter. What about the homeless people? And for me, to see my friend Christina Flowers, she was so hurt because she saw one of her homeless friends get beat down by the police. Police didn't care. I don't know what happened, but all I know is they didn't get this person first aid help or anything. This man's blood was laying all over the ground. So at the end of the day, think about this. It's about humanity. It's not about the skin color, even though that's what the world is making it like. You see who's in office, but at the end of the day, we gotta be that change. Nothing can go through, and for me to see two leaders die out of this world, and I'm talking about CT Vivian, and I'm also talking about Mr. Lewis, right? John Lewis. They saw decades of, they were like marching with Dr. King. They saw so much of horrific stuff. They done been hosed down themselves by police officers, chewed up by dogs, and things of this nature, and it's still happening in 2020. Are you kidding me? But again, I want to say do things in love and integrity. And it starts with loving ourselves because to me, hate breeds hate and love breeds love. So love yourself. If you need a break on things, take a break. Nobody's going to hold you accountable. Sometimes you have to step away to get that strength back, to come back. That's fine. That's why I say West Wednesday will continue. So whoever can make it, fine. Whoever can't, take as much as time as you need to breathe. Because sometimes it be way too much. I don't even know how I get bothered with it. I don't even know. The only thing I can say is thank you, God. Thank you, God, for giving me the strength to endure all this pain and just still do what I gotta do. But at the end of the day, I just want to let everybody know I love you guys, and we need to realize we're all in the same fight, whether it's community violence, this COVID-19 with this pandemic, hurt, even just losing your family member as just they just got sick and died. That is heartbreaking. Your life changed forever when your loved one is no longer there. Just imagine if something bad happened to the person you're sitting by right now, where you can't pick that phone up to make that call to talk to somebody. Even if they were in prison, at least you could talk to them. But when they are gone, that's us. I'm telling you, that's something that I don't even want you guys to ever feel. Seeing and enjoying your life with somebody dear and near to you, and then you turn around and a blink of an eye, they're gone. Think about that and start dealing in love, guys. Love you. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Anybody want the floor? Did any of our guests join yet?
Yeah, hello?
Oh, who is that?
Salam? I think someone there.
Salam. So before I bring, I'm glad he finally made it. Before I bring Mr. Salam on, I'm gonna let you guys know we're gonna end this West Wednesday when we finish and wrap up. I have like a 2.5 minute speech that I did, and and my warrior brother, he actually brought my family he invited my family to meet Eric Gardner's family. So we're talking about a time where somebody can't breathe and whatnot. And I remember when I first saw that awful video of Eric Gardner when he was like, I can't breathe, it hurted me so bad, like it ripped my heart out, and I felt like I needed to be on that corner where he was murdered. And my brother, he reached out to me and he brought me there to talk, and meet Eric Gardner's family. He supported me and my family, and he came down to West Wednesday before, and he also came when we had a news press conference when we first got the West Coalition up and running. He came to that he came to that news press conference and support. And I like the way he's doing in his hometown. He's doing so much. He wears so many crowns. So no further ado, I'm gonna bring on my warrior brother. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Good evening, everybody. Soldiers in the struggle.
Good evening.
Could y'all hear me clear? Okay, I'm used to Zoom things, so it's something new, so bear with me. And we have a terrible storm, literally. I believe you guys got it first here in the Northeast. We had like almost 100 miles per hour wind. It was a little crazy, so I had a little time getting on. But peace to you all. And I want to say peace to my baby sister, Queen, grew to be one of the most powerful sisters on the planet that pushing the button for social justice around police brutality and police reform. I met her actually 7 years ago when Eric Garner was murdered, and she was actually just starting the West. Matter of fact, you didn't start the West Coalition. At some point, you had started the West Coalition, and I'm glad to have been a part of the beginning of that. I am a part-time resident of Baltimore. I live in Baltimore County, but I'm from New Jersey, and that's where my center is at. And I've been serving as an advocate. I run a nonprofit youth and family advocate organization. We incorporated in 4 states. And we got involved in social justice actually in 1990, which I first met Reverend Al Sharpton, with a young teenager named Philip Pennell was shot in the back, 15 years old, in Teaneck, New Jersey. it was a community at that time of diversity and what have you, and would play itself as it was the first desegregated school system in the country at that time. And then this bastardly police officer got some word that some kids who had a gun in the park. They came upon a group of teenagers. Philip Pennell was one of them. The kids took off running, scared, because these officers was out to do something madness. They chased Philip Pennell. Could y'all still see me?
Yep, keep going.
Okay. They threw Philip Pennell in a alleyway, shot him in the back. Autopsy proved that his hands was up. And then at that time we had our 48 marches, including the longest march in U.S. history from Teaneck to Trenton, which took 100 miles. Me and Reverend Sharpton became partners in the struggle, and stayed in there ever since then. Police brutality is not new in New Jersey, just like it's not new in Baltimore and a lot of other cities, major cities or major communities. And it's like deja vu. It's not going nowhere. We had about 1,000 people killed by police last year. We're probably going to break that number this year. We don't count for the amount of officers who shoot or either injure severely a lot of people in our communities across the country. So police brutality is part of our way of life, specifically in the Black community. Now, I want to address 2 points real quick, if I may. I appreciate the Black Lives Matter movement. I appreciate what it became from a hashtag to a movement. I appreciate a lot of our white brethren who are part of the struggle. But I'm concerned about the longevity and its commitment. I was at a rally just the other day in Woodbridge Township, which is a predominantly white community, middle class white, 13% Black, and the most racist police incorporated city. And this rally was like 95% white. And I said, you are now brothers and sisters in our struggle. And one of the things I want commitment from you is to be their willingness is to go out on the line, like a sister, Tawana Jones, who risked her life, and I'm sure she got plenty of death threats, who risked getting arrested, risked losing her job, and different things like that, to take those kinds of risks. To also like put your it's easy to carry a picket sign or say no justice, no peace, but how far are you willing to go with this struggle? Are you willing to put your job on the line? Will you put your life on the line, or put your money on the line? You know, so I'm hoping that strength of that coalition that we have, that allegiance that we have with our white brothers and sisters, stay whole and push this envelope as far as it can go. Certainly, in my 30 years of involvement in the struggle, is tiresome. It's time. I mean, in the short time that Miss Tawana and some of these others have been in for 6 or 7 or 10 years, 30 years is a long time, and to see crying moms, and dads lose their loved ones to the vicious, beastly police officers. And to get these kinds of things, every so often, we'll get a Eric Garner, we'll get a Sean Bell, we'll get a Freddie Gray, we'll get the Brother West, we'll get all these other people, the Pennells, and all these other names that's out there. But when will it all end? When will we ever come to a point to where we do the things that's necessary to get a hold of this police brutality and police abuse and this racist systemic police system? So I'm here to say to you, we have to deal with this thing all across the board. My state, where I'm born in New Jersey, we have the highest prison population rate in the nation. We have 61% of our prison are filled with people that look just like me, the highest in the nation. And what comes with that is the policing system that creates that. Just like in Baltimore, just like in in Chicago, what have you, is the policing system. If we have to get that changed at the core, you guys are still getting headlines of police corruption. We're still getting the headlines of police corruption in Chicago and Detroit and what have you. And I always tell the chief this, I said, these police chiefs, I said, look, when you talk about the street crime or some call it black on black crime or whatever you want to call these shootings, I said, but look at the policing system. You there supposed to protect and serve our community, but yet you still have a system that is corrupt at the core. So, you know, Malcolm X once said, he said the police are in cahoots with the criminals. They are just as part of the exacerbation of the criminal element, which create all these other problems. Forget about the fact of the social condition, poverty, the joblessness, the hopelessness, the poor education, what have you, that creates this kind of systemic problem that created from racism. But the policing system is the arm of the racist conduct that continue to hurt our community and continue to have this cycle to go on and on and on and on. So I'm glad to be one of those soldiers that continue to do what's necessary to risk my life, to take away from my family, and to do what's necessary for justice.
Thank you, my brother. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
So guys, and I just want to share, how can we reach out and support you, my brother?
Oh wow! First of all, join my Facebook page. I'm not on there too much of Twitter and Instagram. I'm not. Some of my people are. They on all that stuff. But me, hit my Facebook page. I do an update twice a day, a community update around the country. I'm going to talk about this event tomorrow morning, and I talk about different events that goes on in my community. I thought you was on live. I'm going to try to share your live.
It'll be able to share in a little bit. I'm sorry.
Okay.
They blocking my page completely out. Like I tried to share it 4 different times, but once everything is up and running, we'll be able to share it, and I'll start me a watch party tonight. But you'll definitely get everything because it's being taped right now.
That's good. So I'll share it to my folks. I have affiliates across the country, in Detroit, Chicago, whatever. So whatever you guys are doing, something, especially if it's like this Zoom or whatever this device is, I can definitely get my people on. There's a lot of folks that are doing some work in Chicago, Brother Tyrone West, my girl Roy in Detroit. There's a lot of different folks around the country that we're affiliated with. I'm also a member of National Action Network, so and I'm an organizer for that group, but I'm also have my own organization, which is affiliation, National United Youth Council Incorporated. So whatever that's necessary. And Baltimore is my second home. Is my other residence, Baltimore County. So whenever, I'm just usually not there on Wednesday. I usually come back up top. I'm usually Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I come back up top to New Jersey where my center is at. So I'm still the director there. I've been down to Baltimore for 10 years. So if anything special, let me know. If I need to bring some folks, Tawana, know I'll bring a busload down to Bmore, whatever is necessary. Just let me know, and I'm there. And I'll also share with you guys things that we're doing up top.
Can you tell us your full name? I'm sorry. Tell us your full name for the Facebook page.
Oh, Salam Ismail, SALAAM, last name ISMIL, ISMIAL. It is a double L because I got 2 Facebook pages. The double L is the one I use.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Uncle Bill. And Salam, I just checked my Facebook. They just gave me about 50 watch parties, so I had to delete some of them, so I won't have all that going on. But you can actually share it now. But Facebook been playing with me ever since Kent Moore in Callis Way, my brother was murdered at, and we had a candlelight visual, our 7-year candlelight visual over the weekend. Nobody could hear the sound or anything. It was horrible. And they're playing with me tonight because every time I come out the chair,
they put me on punishment too. Okay. All right. Let me. So you on now?
Yeah, it's on there now. I see it. Because I see my sister Hillary was saying something like mic check, and it just showed up in my timeline. It was like 10 watch parties I had, because I kept hitting it, it was acting like it wasn't doing it. So it is what it is, but it's definitely on there now. I'm looking at you.
Okay. Somebody just said let's see.
You still don't see it? Maybe I'll tag you into it.
Could you like tag me?
Yeah, I'll tag you. Yep, I'll tag you. Yep.
I see some of you guys just request. That's you guys? And you guys just request me just now? Somebody did. Just a couple people just. Okay.
Yeah, I'll tag you into it now, my brother. Yep. So is anything else you want to add before we move on?
Nah, it's a pleasure to be a part of this, and I want y'all to check out this. I had this shirt made some time ago. You see it? Y'all see it?
Yes, it's nice.
On Batman symbol, justice.
I like that.
So when I'm in Baltimore, I wear that shirt.
Nice.
Thank you so much for being part of this event.
Thank you. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Mic check.
Did our brother Ken join us yet, or he still hasn't gotten on yet?
He was here, but he's gone.
Oh wow. Alright, so anybody else want to share? While we wait?
I'll go ahead. I want to talk about a case that's connected indirectly with George Floyd. You know, when George Floyd was essentially lynched with that cop Chauvin with his knee on his neck, there were a number of people taking videos and yelling at the cops to let him go. They were outraged at watching him lose his life right in front of them. But some people have said, how come nobody went up and physically tried to rescue him? And we actually had a case in Baltimore where that's exactly what happened. And I want to talk about that case. So this past January, 6 months ago, you may remember there was a viral video that showed a cop down on the ground and he was being kicked by a number of people, civilians. And the cop's name was Sergeant Simpson. And the man that Simpson was trying to arrest was a man named Mr. Zain Abdullah. Now Simpson, in his original narrative, said that Mr. Abdullah spit in his face and pushed him. Cop Simpson also said he was assaulted by two men and kicked in the head. And Simpson gave a statement to another cop, a cop named Davis, who wrote, quote, Sergeant Simpson used the least amount of force to subdue and contain Mr. Abdullah, an individual who was displaying active aggression. And he went on to write that it was Mr. Abdullah who caused the confrontation by, quote, kicking Sergeant Simpson in his face. At the time, Police Chief Michael Harrison said he was outraged. And he went on to say the sergeant did nothing to provoke the assault, and the sergeant should be commended for using the appropriate amount of force to apprehend his assistant. Mayor Jack Young said that the video showed, quote, an assault on a police officer that is not going to be tolerated. And Governor Larry Hogan, this is all back in January, Governor Larry Hogan called it a, quote, disgusting incident that was, quote, yet another example of the violence that has become far too common in Baltimore City. Baltimore State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby, the same one that refuses to prosecute the killers of Tyrone West, she said she was, quote, disgusted by the blatant assault against the police officer in the video, and my office will work with BPD to bring the perpetrators to justice. 3 men, Mr. Abdullah, his friend Mr. Burgess, and a third young man were arrested and charged with felony assault. But new videos later emerged telling a very different story. They showed Cop Simpson walking into the convenience store on Pennsylvania Avenue, bumping Mr. Abdullah. So he was the first with physical contact. Cop Simpson says, move out the fucking way. Sorry for the language. And Cop Simpson then pushes Mr. Abdullah and says, get out of my face. The attorneys for Mr. Abdullah and Mr. Burgess have shown that Cop Simpson is the one who actually initiated and provoked the incident. And there has now been an indictment of Cop Simpson 6 months after the fact. And none of the video, so several more videos came out, none of the videos show either spittle or spit coming from Mr. Abdullah's mouth. And the indictment also says that the evidence instead shows he was employing a prohibited chokehold. Moments later, a bystander video shows Cop Simpson and Mr. Abdullah struggling on the ground as Mr. Abdullah cries out, "I can't breathe." At that point, Mr. Abdullah's friend, Mr. Burgess, is seen trying to pull Mr. Abdullah away and free him from Cop Simpson's chokehold. About a week ago, Simpson, the cop, was finally charged with two things: making a false statement and misconduct in office. Assault charges against Mr. Abdullah and Mr. Burgess have been dropped, but only after they spent 4 months in jail. Attorney Hunter Pruitt said that his client, Mr. Abdullah, and also Mr. Burgess, should never have been charged. He explained that the state's attorney's office had much of the information from the very beginning. He also said, "I couldn't understand how they could possibly go forward with the charge, but in 25 years of criminal defense work, I don't expect the right thing to happen." Now, the indictment against Cop Simpson actually says he was the aggressor. The two lawyers for Mr. Burgess and Mr. Abdullah said they would like to hear an apology from Marilyn Mosby, Mayor Young, Governor Hogan, and Police Commissioner Harrison. Of course, that has not happened. In my opinion, Mr. Burgess was actually a hero, because he is the one that saved his friend from possibly dying in that chokehold. Very similar to the situation in Minneapolis. When we watch the horrific videos from Minneapolis with racist cop Chauvin's knee on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, we wonder why the bystanders who were videotaping and yelling at the police didn't courageously step in and put a stop to the murderous choking. Well, here in Baltimore, we have a hero. His name is Donnell Burgess, who did exactly that. The mayor, the governor, the chief of police, and the city state's attorney all said terrible things about him, and they put him in jail for 4 months. But Donnell Burgess probably saved his friend's life. We need more courageous people like Donnell Burgess. We need large, courageous organizations to fight this whole system. And I just want to make sure that we all knew that case pretty well, and that we had somebody that stood up, sacrificed his own safety, sacrificed his being free of jail, and did what he thought had to be done to save his friend.
Thank you, Uncle Bill. Mike check, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I remember when that first happened, right? And it was saying that he's supposed to spit, and people reached out to me personally, and I remember I posted it on my page, and I'm like, had it not been for him, but everybody went in on me, they went in on him. We're so fast to do that. Always believe what the police say as opposed to what the people are saying. So shame on everybody that didn't believe it. Now you see it smack in your face. Everybody was, oh, he wasn't doing that. He was doing this and he did that. Now you see, it's just sad that they have to wait till the video come out. Wait till the truth come out before they believe the truth at the door. This is so sad and disgusting, and that's one of the things that is really wrong with our community, because nobody really wants to talk about police brutality. They always play this thing about community violence. Let's not talk about police brutality. Y'all address the community violence when it's all intertwined together. But at the same time, none of these officers ever get charged. If any, they always lie. And then what happens? The community believes that foolishness. I said, and I had to block. I remember that day I blocked 3 people off of my page because they kept going in. Oh, he was a thug. He ain't do nothing. You don't know. Get the information. I said, you get your mouth. Excuse my French, and I blocked. So I'm sorry. I can be ignorant sometimes, but it is what it is. Because I hate that kind of stuff. Like, I don't hate, but I just really dislike when somebody do that, because this guy could have actually got killed, but he saved somebody's life. He put his whole body around this saying, when you do that, not only do you get bad mouth, or you get beat up, or you get like the police coming at you, but then you got people in your own community, because you wasn't standing up for them and they don't know the story, they coming at you too justly. And even when they had this little mug shot up and everything, people were going in at them. So shame, shame, shame. Mic check.
In addition to what Bill was saying, one of the things that they had mentioned on Twitter was that because they were locked up for so long, either, I can't remember if it was Burgess or Abdullah, lost their jobs while they were in prison, which during a pandemic, that's tough to recover from. So they're ruining people's lives on multiple levels.
Great point, Brother Ben. Shame.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
I'll jump in. So I wanted to uplift the work of a local group called Baltimore Court Watch. They're primarily on Twitter at Be More Court Watch. The reason I wanted to uplift them is, you know, one of the things about this movement is a lot of it seems to, like, the major focus is at the police stop and what the police do during that stop. And then after that, there's a whole long process that often gets left out of the conversation. And that is in the hands of the prosecutor's office. And, you know, one might think that the first line of defense against a police misconduct situation would be the prosecutor's office, but the police are their client, and so they usually go along with it. And when it comes to, you know, one of the important steps in prosecution once somebody's been arrested is bail review hearing, right? Because at that point, there's been no trial, there's been no determination of guilt, and people are supposed to be presumed innocent. But what can happen at that hearing is people can get held in jail for indeterminate periods of time, right? And that is really based on the judge taking the word of the prosecutor over the word of the defense attorney, even before anybody has had a chance to rule on anything. So, you know, one of the problems with those hearings is that people, regular citizens, don't know that they can attend. These are not private hearings. Typically, COVID makes it difficult because everything's over the phone right now. But citizens can attend and observe and take notes and publish those observations. But that happens so infrequently that both judges and prosecutors get away with these abuses. And what court watch groups do, for those that don't know, is, you know, in a non-COVID situation, they physically show up at the courthouse and attend the hearing, and they observe it. And it's a way that citizens can hold judges and prosecutors accountable for acting outside the bounds of their discretion, or at least abusing their discretion. And what Baltimore Court Watch does, at least in the COVID era, is they call in and they listen. And what they do is, and Court Watch is actually a sister organization, a friend organization of the West Coalition. People that are involved in the West Coalition are a part of Court Watch. And what Court Watch does is they will listen throughout the day, and they'll take down the arguments being made by the defense, by the prosecutors. And in this era, the way the prosecutors are contorting the science around COVID to keep people locked up. And because of a rule that was passed in July of 2017, cash bail has been limited. And so what's happened is the people that would have otherwise gotten a cash bail, which is a problem to begin with anyway, half go to be held, half go to release, but it's really not half and half. It's more held, less released on their recognizance. And at least in the COVID era, and in terms of the way Marilyn Mosby has been on her PR blitz to lift her global profile, at least national, is one of the things that she talks about is the fact that she's abiding by the science and not holding people, or they're reducing the amount of people that they're holding. And that's just not true. And what Court Watch is doing by reporting on this is showing the fact that most of her prosecutors, the majority of the time, are arguing to hold people without bail. one after another, after another, after another, after another. And if you're trying to play this role of I'm progressive, I believe in adjusting the way that we criminalize people and how we deal with people both pre-trial and during trial. Well, then your prosecutors wouldn't be doing that unless they're acting rogue, which, come on, not likely to be the case. So I wanted to lift up the work of Court Watch, Baltimore Court Watch. They're on Twitter at Be More Court Watch, and what they really just do is they do these live tweet threads of or sometimes it's live, sometimes it's later in the day, but of everything that happened in the bail review hearings that day. And that's where you'll get the most, as close to a first-person account of what was stated. Obviously, these people are on the abolitionist side, but they're trying to hold the state accountable for its behavior during these hearings that most people don't attend, don't know about, and don't realize that people are being punished before they've been tried. So, at Be More Court Watch on Twitter.
Mic check, mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Thanks for sharing that, Zach. That was some good stuff. And I want to give them a shout out because they did a lot with Keith Davis Jr., you know, being diligent, letting us know everything, and just letting us know do's and don'ts and all kind of stuff. So definitely a big shout out. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
I want to talk about a couple things before I get to my last duty here. One thing is I want to, along with Wanda, lift up John Lewis's passing as something that we should all kind of try and hold in our hearts and our minds. He was a great man, and especially for me, because he was a man of faith, and a socially active, you know, very progressive person. But the thing that I think bears a lot on us here, and what Tawanda has said, is this was a guy who was very vocal about never holding hatred in his heart for the people who were opposing him. And yet he never once backed down. He never gave an inch on what was important. And you know, so often we hear about, oh well, you know, these other people are just too mean, and we can't, you know, we can't love them, we can't forgive them, you know, and yeah, I think John Lewis just proved that was just not true. That he never gave an inch, and he never stood for anything less than justice. And so, you know, I think that really so much of what we do, you know, there's always this temptation to give in to hatred and violence, and he just showed that you could win without that you could really do that. And so I just want to lift that man up and you know, hold him forth as an example for everybody. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about, I've been doing some digging around, you know, because we've had lately, there's been a big increase in talk about defunding the police. And people are saying, oh, you don't want to defund the police, that would be bad. And so I've been doing some reading around, and you always hear, well, we don't want to defund the police, we want to reform the police, we want to make it better, we want to make it different. And so I was looking, and the force that led directly to the current New York City Metropolitan Police Force was founded in 1870, I forget what. 20 years later, there was a special commission formed by the City Council of New York because there had been a lot of complaints about police violence. And so in 1894, this commission got together and did a study and decided that police violence was a problem, and that what we needed to do was increase the professionalism of the police force and get better community relations between the police force and the citizens they were patrolling. Now, that's the first that we're aware of in America of a commission to figure out what we can do about how we can reform the police to get rid of police violence. And as far as I can tell, every 10 years since then, there's been another commission to investigate the same problem and come up with the same solution. And we just have to admit that there's just no reform. That we just have to start by stopping. And the thing that, this idea that we can tinker with the edges or make some more rules or train people a little differently and it's going to get better. No, we just have to start by stopping. We have to start, by saying, okay, the police don't do this anymore. We're going to give that money that they use to do that to these other people and let them do that. So, and that's what defunding the police is about. It's about ending the drug war. It's about getting cops away from mental health calls and away from homelessness calls and away from, loud parties at night and trash in the, in the neighborhood. And if, we can start by doing that with police and just get it to the point where police only deal with like murders and robberies, then most people will never see a cop and most cops will never have a chance to brutalize anybody. And I'm an abolitionist. I believe we can do without police. I believe that citizens can control their own neighborhoods. But just tomorrow, just next week, we could start down that road, and we could make that turn. But we're never gonna do it if we keep saying, "Oh, well, we just need to change a few things. It's just a few bad apples. It's a bad tree, and we need to learn to live with that." And so that's my two little rants for this week. And I just want to read out the names of some people who we lost this week to violence, and whether it's community violence or police violence or stranger violence or violence based on, hate or just based on anger. It's all the same thing. It's all part of the same system that exploits workers and pollutes the planet and generates ignorance and hate everywhere we see. It's one big system, it's one big empire, and it's all based on on this idea that I'm separate from you and that I can get from you, that I'm not diminished if I do something to you. And that's the idea that we're really all here to fight one way or another. This week, in that fight, we lost 4 people. Franklin Lassiter, 49.
Franklin Lassiter, 49.
Lewis Henson, 60.
Lewis Henson, 60.
James Wilson Baines, 23.
James Wilson Baines, 23.
23.
Fresca Yerby, 35.
Fresca Yerby, 35.
25.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mike check.
Mike check. I also wanted to add something to what. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. What'd you say, Ben?
I was just going to add something small to what Brian was saying. Berkeley announced this week that they were removing police from traffic stops. And this is a little bit significant because what they did was they did the research and they realized that something like 75% of the contact that citizens had with police in Berkeley was through traffic stops, where the cop would come up and, do something related to traffic, and that often led to other things. So, most of the violence that was experienced from police and a lot of other terrible things started with a traffic stop. So in an effort to abolish the police, Berkeley is moving and taking away traffic authority from the police. So they're going to have somebody else do traffic work that is not the police. so that that kind of stuff doesn't happen, and that new organization is not going to be armed. So, you know, there are solutions out there. And also wanted to share that this is exactly how policing in South Africa works. When I traveled there a number of years ago, I was remarking to one of my friends, I was like, this is kind of weird. Like, why are there two different kinds of police cars? And they were very clear, oh, no, these are not police cars. These are traffic cars. And all they do is give people tickets if they're driving erratically or speeding or whatever. And they are not armed. And they said, we leave the police work of, you know, fighting robberies and that kind of stuff to the police. We don't expect the police to be enforcing traffic. And that blew my mind because I never even thought about separating those two. But, you know, just to say that's one of the ways that, you know, defunding and abolishing police can work. Mike check.
Thank you, Ben, but I wish they had that when my brother was killed. But I still think Chapman and Louise would have found another way to kill my brother. Like, they probably would have followed them home or something. They had, you know, they was bloodthirsty. But any old way, I just want to let y'all know my warrior queen sister, Miss Thompson, the grandmother of Stephon Clark, is now in queue. And I'm going to bring her on now. So let's give her a warm welcome. Mike check.
Tawanda Ken
Mike
is
check.
back too.
Oh, great. And also, yeah, so I'm really excited. God is so good. Let me I believe in God, so I'm about to take y'all to church. You know, God might don't come when you want him, but he's always on time. And both of my special guests, thank goodness my brother, he was able to make it, but all of the guests are in queue now, and I'm really excited. So, I'm glad for that. So I'm gonna bring on, like I was saying, Stephon Clark's grandmother, beautiful queen that I had a chance to meet. You know, like I said, I wouldn't wish this into anybody. And we know her grandson because we had brought him on like 3 different occasions to talk about his brother, and he also shared what they do on Sunday, Stephon Clark Sunday. So that's honorable as always, but definitely had to bring his beautiful grandmother on. Mike check.
Mike check.
Mike check, and you need to unmute your mic.
So if you look down on your phone, you'll see a mic button. If you unmute yourself by touching that white, I don't know if it's white on your phone, but you touch that, you can unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Did I do it?
Yes, you did.
Good.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I'm just learning. This is my first time on this app, website. Okay. My name is Sequita Thompson, and I am the grandmother of Stephon Clark. I witnessed my grandson. He was in my backyard. They had murdered him, executed him. I seen his cell phone. I seen his earphones. I seen that they had his wallet out there on the ground, and it was like something unbearable that no one would want to see that. And I am. Right now, I'm going to say some good things because that is very hard to talk about, and I would not wish that on anyone. Especially to see your grandbabies, you know, they come home to be safe and not to be gunned down like the way they did. You know, I said, well, why couldn't they use a dog, taser, anything? But my grandson, he was a good young man. He was smiling. I mean, he wasn't perfect. Every child we know that, you know, growing up and everything, but he was just smiling and always kissing on me. To my grandma, I said, what you up to? I know you up to something because you always kiss me on the cheek. To my, oh, grandma, you know I love you. I know I love you. And I said, okay, little Papa. That's what I call him. His name, my daughter had named him Big Papa after, what was that singer name? Big Papa, that song, I can't, Notorious.
Yeah.
notorious big. And she named him that because he was fat and so chubby. He was so chubby. And so when I got married again in 2007, I started calling him Little Papa because I called my husband his grandpa Papa. We all called him Papa. So we started calling him Little Papa. So he was in the football. He always said, come on, Grandma, you know I got a game. And so my husband and I and the family would go out there to his games. And he was just, he would make you laugh. He always had jokes. He always had to have the last word. But he always made you laugh. You could be like in a bad mood or in a sad mood, but he would just come out of nowhere and make you laugh. You would just laugh. So now my grandson, his brother, Stephante, did Stephon Clark Sundays now. So we having a gardening in the back for the youth to grow around Stephon where he murdered. We have a headstone back there. It's called a memory. It's like a monument, just a memory, because his headstone is at the cemetery. But he was buried on top of his brother. And I did not know that I had bought a double plot. And so I said, that was God's plan. I don't know, I can't ask questions, but I know God now has him up there, and I know he's up there having everybody laughing. So I'm just grateful that God is bringing me through day by day. Because I don't take life for granted no more. I don't know if I'm going to wake up. I don't know if after I get off of here, I might not be here no more. I don't take life for granted no more. I have to trust in God, and I do because I love him with all my heart and soul. And I know that he's going to help me to keep strong and to keep fighting until the day I die. And I hope and pray, I'm praying hard that the officer is convicted and charged with it. They cannot get out of prison because they might be on the street right now trying to kill another child. So I'm praying that we will get justice. We have not went to trial due to this coronavirus, but before then they still was slow and taking their time. So I don't know what's going on right now. It's up in the air with the lawyer and everything because they're saying we're in this situation now. But like we're doing this Zoom right here, I don't know why they can't do that for a trial through Zoom. I don't know why, but and we haven't even went for a deposition yet either, and we haven't even heard their deposition. So I'm just leaving all this into God's hand, and I know that he's going to take care of it. He's always on time, so it's a reason for right now why it's not going on. But God has the last say so. So that's what I know. I feel that he will bring it to justice also. And the new laws, we need to start voting so these people can get out of these offices because they're not helping us. All they do is making things worse. A young man was killed yesterday at the university where they have domes for the students. And he was killed yesterday. They videotaped it. And then they have another incident happened in San Diego. So it's going more and more and more. It's just killing more and more and more. And so I'm just praying that this world will change and that God intervene into all our lives and into especially them officers and stuff to get us justice. For all, not just for Stephon, but for all of us. We all need justice. That's what I'm praying for. We all need justice. They all need to be put away. They cannot get away with evilness and being murdering people's kids. They cannot get away with that. So that's what I'm praying that we all get justice. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, beautiful. You said that was such elegant. You look so beautiful. I love your head wrap. It's so pretty. And I just want to ask you, how can we support you? Like, everybody's listening and we love you. And we want to support you in any way that we can. Name some ways that we can support you, please.
this meetings, having this meeting, and inviting me. That's a way to support us so it can get out on Facebook, on Twitter, or Instagram. I don't have none of them. The only thing I have is Facebook, but I know it can go all over, and they have the public. They always tell me to instead of just keeping it on friends, put it for public. So I learned how to do that. So just by supporting us, and they have an event in Washington D.C. You already know. So going out there and help us to know what we can do by marching and voting and getting a lot of things in. So by supporting us is by just voting and support as, you know, also I would say keeping us informed on things that's happening in this world, especially the law. And so we all can tell, Sacramento can tell the East Coast, and all over the world that we can get all this out because it's happening all over.
Yes. Thank you so much. And I just want to commend you for your strength. You know, you can call me anytime, day or night. I will make my way to you, my queen. I just thank you so much for your time. And, you know, if you have to go now, you can hang up. But if you want to, you can continue on because I have another brother. He reminds me of Malcolm X. If you saw his picture on my page, he's the uncle. Unfortunately, his nephew was murdered. His nephew was murdered, tasered to death, and this brother, like, oh my God, he just amazed me with the poem he wrote, just his strength, like how you amazed me with your strength and your love and everything. So I just want to thank you so much, my queen. So I'm about to bring on Mr. Ken next. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Hey everybody, I'm not even sure if you can see or hear me without
Yes.
breaking up.
You good?
Okay, coming through smoothly?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
All right. I hope it continues to do so. I put in the chat room that I wonder if I should just go next week. I'm sitting here charging the phone on the car charger, which means it's overheating, which means it might come a second. Let's see if I can take you through, and if not, Tuan is messed up, then we need to get a case. It's good to with everybody to hear all of that going on. So I had to be turn the phone off for early to as always to on to you and your family describe and over years. You say you don't see how you do it. I don't see how you do it. And but I and your family as said, and I had the opportunity to perform a piece at the event for Tyrone.
Hey Ken.
And
Hey Ken, it's hard. It's hard to. Your voice is kind of distorting. Can you try it without the headphone?
You might have to unmute yourself again. I think we might have lost him.
Oh, wow. So let me know if he jumped back on, but yeah, so he's having technical issues right now. He had a power outage at his home, and he actually tried to go into his car and charge his phone up, so hopefully he... But I'm just going to share a little bit his nephew was murdered, and I shared the picture on my page shortly like after he graduated from high school. He was tasered to death, and it was really sad. But his uncle Ken had wrote a beautiful, strong poem that I want everybody to hear. He actually shared it at my brother's candlelight visual over the weekend and whatnot. So it was real like touching, and so hopefully he'll get to join us. But if not, we'll definitely bring him back. Cause like I said, West Wednesday never stops. So if we're having some issues now, have no fear. West Wednesday will be right back here on next week. So we'll definitely get our brother back on if we don't, get him back up tonight before we wrap up. But do anybody else want to say anything?
Hey Tawanda, it's Mickey.
Hey Mickey.
How you doing? Firstly, Ken, I have a video already of Ken reciting the poem from the vigil that will be released within the next week, regardless if for some reason he can't get back on, so everyone can look forward to watching that. This is just, I'd like to make the weekly reminder for everyone to follow all of the social media pages connected with the West Coalition, at West Wednesday on Instagram and Twitter, and on Facebook at Justice for Tyrone West. We have been, for the past couple of meetings, the weeks following and leading up to the next meeting, been releasing cut together videos of all of the amazing speakers that Tawanda has organized. And again, yes, the poem can be upcoming this week as well as Tawanda speech that she did this past week. So look forward for that, and please like and share all of the videos so everyone's voices, as you spoke about, Mrs. Thompson, can be spread all over the country and the world. Thanks.
No, and I thank you. And our brother Kent just sent me a message. He said that unfortunately his phone is not going to be able to do it, because he actually put this app on his computer, which he was ready to get on, but unfortunately his phone is not going to do it. So we'll definitely bring our brother back on next week. And if anybody else want to share anything before we wrap up.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Now, I wanted one of the brothers mentioned about the defund, because we grappling this whole defund thing and police reform, and I just wanted to know how you guys down in that area dealing with that, because you have defund the police. I mean, folks are saying, well, that means take all the money out of police and there be no police. And then you have another group who have been talking about, like, I'm one of the OGs, we've been pushing reform. So I'm trying to think, how do you guys are dealing with that whole thing between the defund and the reform? That's, which reform been around a while, and defund is something new. How do you guys, kind of dealing with that?
Well, I was the one who brought it up, and I really, I don't think the West Coalition has a position on that. It's not a group that has positions per se. I think each of us has a position, and a lot of us agree. And I think that my position, as I express it, is, reform we've been hearing the same reform for 100 and some odd years. We should just get it done. It hasn't worked for 100 years. It's not going to work. Defund is sort of a different approach. I don't think we should take all the money from the police next week, certainly, but I think we can start chopping big chunks of police duties, like Ben was talking about. Take away, first of all, I think we just need to just end the whole drug war. Just medicalize our drug problem.
Yeah, because
I'm sorry.
In my hometown in Elizabeth, it's the fourth largest city in New Jersey. Our police budget is $36 million, right? I think our total city budget is about 300 some change. But a lot of that money is not just in salary, is this heavy equipment, which it's like almost riot equipment that you really probably will never use. and they constantly buy ammunition for it and so forth and so on. And the other part is ridiculous overtime. I mean, millions and millions of dollars of ridiculous overtime just to feed each other pocket. Our police officers starting pay like 50 something, but the average cop makes $110,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, how you go from 50 in your regular pay and get another $60,000? That's because of ridiculous overtime. So it's a lot of that money. I like to take a piece of that out of there and put it into some reform program.
Well, I say it's the Willie Sutton rule. It's like, if you want to spend money on anything to build up your community, there's only one place to get it. Baltimore, the police budget for the city of Baltimore is half of the city budget.
Right. Ridiculous.
50 some odd, whatever it is, I don't know. But it's like, if you want money to do something positive, you got to get, the only place the money is in the police department.
In the police department, right.
So you got to go there and get that money out of them and put it wherever you want to put it. Put it to rec centers, put it to drug rehab, put it to any of those things, because you can't raise the tax base, in a city like Baltimore. There's no blood in a turnip, and all the money, and everybody else in the city is running on fumes. It's like the police department has half the money, the schools have a quarter of the money, and everybody else has like 1%, 5%, 2%. Nobody else has got any money. Get it from the police department. Say you guys don't have to deal with the homeless people anymore. We're gonna take this much money from you, and we're gonna create a homelessness squad who can go out and deal with homeless people and get them somewhere to live. And now we're gonna take, we're just gonna. And the best thing you can do for any police department, like I say, end this stupid drug war.
Yeah.
That's where they spend most of their time. And that's where all the corruption comes from. And if you said no more, we're gonna, if heroin, meth, whatever that stuff is, we're gonna send you to a doctor. He's gonna give you a prescription. You'll get it legal. You'll have to check in every 2 weeks. And if you want to smoke pot or take LSD or eat mushrooms or do any other shit, go ahead. We don't care. That the week that went into effect, most of the crime in Baltimore would disappear. And what's worse, or what's more important, is most of the corruption money would disappear right along with that crime.
Absolutely.
And the whole gun trace task force thing would become irrelevant, and all this stuff would just go. And at that point, you could already get rid of a third of the police department, and most of them would leave because they're not catching their comp show anymore. They're not catching their bribes. They don't want to. They don't. That's their livelihood. So you just let all those people go. And then, like you said, you've got the half tracks and the mounted patrol and the all this kind of stuff. All that stuff can go.
I'll offer another point of view about the police defunding and abolition and so on. The emancipation procrastination was 1863. It's been more than 150 years. We've been through 30 presidents from Lincoln to Trump. 30. Thousands of congressional politicians, tens of thousands of mayors, and police brutality has been consistent through all of that time. Consistent. And I think the police are doing what they're supposed to do according to this system. That is to say, be an oppressive force to keep the poor in their place, keep the working class in its place. So I think we need a revolution. I think we need to get rid of this capitalist system. And when we have a new system, I'm a communist, but when we have a new system and we don't have hunger, and we don't have unemployment, and we don't have drug dealing, and we don't have miseducation, and we don't have illiteracy, and we don't have unemployment, under those circumstances, we're going to have far fewer problems. And I think we can solve them without police. In China, during the socialist period, they did phenomenal work in solving problems among the people without police. And it can be done, but not, in my opinion, not within this system. So I don't think reform or defunding or abolition within the framework of capitalism can solve the problem, unfortunately. I think we should continue to fight really hard in every case of police murder, to demand accountability, that those cops go to cell blocks. And I think we're going to win some of those cases. I hope we win in Tyrone's case and many of the others. But I think the long-range solution can't be in the framework of the kind of society that we have today. Systemic racism is because of systemic capitalism. They go hand in hand, and both of them have to disappear.
So
one of the things that
I just wanted to clarify, and Brian, you're real passionate about what you believe, and I believe in a lot of the same things you were saying. I think a lot of us are on the same page. So just to give you some numbers, Baltimore City per capita spends one of the top per capita spending for police. It's about 33% of the budget. So about a third of the budget is the police budget, and the school budget is about half of that. So it's something around 16 to 17%. But I think one of the issues, and when you talk about reform versus and in terms of overtime, in 2015, I think there was a study where they released some of the salaries, and there were 18 patrol officers in Baltimore City that made more than the mayor of Baltimore. And 79% of our officers live outside of the city. So, and many of them live in these little McMansions in Baltimore County, right outside the city. But reform is mostly, what it's mostly brought to Baltimore is a bigger payroll. So every time there seems to be some reform, there's a budget line item that's added to the police budget, and so reform is, and the reforms have not garnered us any change really to the way the police interact with the citizens of Baltimore. And it doesn't seem to be deterred even by these national incidents that occur. Things happen every day that demonstrate to us that the police have not changed because of any of those reforms that have been put in place. So yeah, I think redistributing that money and being really purposeful about it is going to take some work, but it's also going to take some really bold moves that somebody's going to have to make. We actually, the budget already got passed this year, and there was, I think, the decrease was minimal in Baltimore City's budget. So it's going to be, people are going to have to really come and try to make some real change in order to do that defunding, because like Brian said, there are so many other services that barely can manage the things that they have to do to provide for the people of Baltimore. But we are one of the worst in terms of our budget and the funds that go towards the police.
One of the things that to address your question directly, there's a lot of different people who are associated and who support the West family and are part of the West Coalition, and we all have various degrees of different views on what the final solution ought to be and or what the methods ought to be. But just as a quick example, I'm sure you've been seeing a lot of the stuff that's been happening in Portland, where these men in military uniforms have been scooping people up off the street and putting them in rental vans and whisking them away to who knows where. And one of the things that people have been outraged about was that nobody knows who they are. And so, one of the things that people have been demanding is that these agents wear name badges and identification, right? Now, those of us who have been involved in resisting police violence for years know that a lot of these officers have been beating and killing people while wearing a name badge. So, that's not going to fix the problem. But you're also able to identify, to hold that particular person accountable. So should we be fighting for making sure that people wear badges? Sure. Should we also be fighting to make sure that people don't get snatched up at all? Absolutely. So there's multiple levels and multiple ways to fight, and it's going to take all of us to win this. Mic check.
Amen. Mic check.
Mike, check.
Mike,
I had a question, Dan, maybe you can help me out on this. And this is like off the topic, but dealing with the COVID-19 and the way that the school system, as you know, the Baltimore public school system is like, you know, kind of approaching this. What do you think will work, and what things do you think like is not going to work, type of thing? Like, what's your input on all this with the way that they were supposed to start up the fall school year?
So, for those who don't know, I'm a Baltimore City School administrator, so I work in one of the schools in the city. So I think most of the systems, I think, were smart to because of the pandemic to do what was safe. I don't think we had the things in place to have any kind of live teaching in schools and manage that. I think that it's going to be some of the things that are really important, and I think that we learned some lessons about kind of what's important in education. The one of the things that is clear are the inequities that we've kind of created as a system, right? So systemic racism is in part of all our systems, and certainly in the education system. And so it's given us a chance to kind of step back and look at some of the things that are much more equitable for our students. So I think some of those things are like grading, for example, and the way we kind of figure out how smart they are. The whole system of using national standards and national tests, which are inherently racist. That we are kind of, I know in Baltimore City, they're asking us to take a step back and really look at diagnosing where kids need some help, but really looking at ways that they really are smart and finding out the things that are unique about each individual student and how they're kind of an asset to the system and not we're an asset to them necessarily, and looking at student strengths and certainly understanding how relationship building is really important. That if you can't connect to students and they don't feel loved and supported, they won't get engaged in learning. So kids have to be emotionally available, I guess, to learn. And so the school systems have really started to, I'm hoping, continue to work on that relationship building between teachers and students, between parents and teachers, between administrators and parents, and building those relationships so the community is involved in teaching. So, however horrible this has been, I think in a lot of different ways, it's kind of taught us some lessons about what's important in terms of human relations and building people up and supporting them to actualize their own potential, So I'm even though it's difficult to teach a kid on a screen, it's not what teachers are used to. It's still, I think, hopefully we'll walk away with some more lessons about what's important in just educating anybody, and so that does give me some hope. But I think I answered your question of what lessons we've learned, hopefully.
Tawan, muted.
So I wanted to thank you, Dan, for sharing that. I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that, but I was real curious. So thank you so much for sharing. And it's getting kind of late, so before we wrap up, because I respect and honor everybody's time, would anybody like to share anything before I share my final thoughts and we wrap this up? Alrighty. Well, first of all, I want to thank each and every last one of our guests. Thank you so much, because I know your time is very precious, and I just want to thank you. And then I'm asking everybody, the people that pray, my prayer warriors, please keep our families in prayers, because police brutality is real. And not only just keep the victims of police brutality in prayer, or if you don't pray in thought, just look at what's going on with the world, with everything, with this COVID-19. That's very scary. It is real, y'all. It is so real. Like a lot of, because it ain't hitting us like personally, we sometimes kind of play it off like it don't exist until it knock us off our feet or one of your loved ones. It don't have to be that way. And it's almost with the issues of police brutality. Sometimes you really don't believe, you know it's real, but until you feel the pain, you can't feel it. Like, we shouldn't have to get to that point that, like, letting your loved one get murdered by a law enforcement officer, community violence, to actually feel somebody's pain. I don't wish this pain on anyone. This is a pain that never goes away. This is a pain that you could be happy as I don't know what. You could be enjoying a wedding, a graduation, and then right then and there, that thought will come in your mind and steal all that away in a split of an eye, and you're back to crying at a time you're supposed to be most happy at. So at the end of the day, we only live once, and let's just make this the best life we can ever make it, and let's have integrity, let's have loyalty. If you can't say, my mother always told me, you cannot say something nice to somebody, just don't say anything, because words are very hurtful. I know I was brought up on the foolishness about sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. That is not true. Words hit harder than a fist. Sometimes the way people talk to you, rather them smack, because after that physical feeling go away, you know, you can live with them. When somebody say something so mean that cuts to the core, that will always stay with you. So just remember, these are some real stressful times, and just because everybody's not talking all at once doesn't mean that they're not dealing with their own issue. They could be dealing with the issue right now of just relationship problems with their husband, with their spouse, with their boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. However, they could be dealing with this financial situation. It's so many things that could push us over the edge, and it don't even take that much of a push, because right now, the way the enemy is working, it used to be, I remember a time when I seen my mother and my grandmother, they would go through things one time at, like, one thing at a time, and it'd be so stressful, they could work it out. But now the way the enemy is doing, he's throwing everything at you at one time. You can't even breathe. Like, so much is being placed upon you to the point you cannot breathe. You might be just like, okay, I'm trying to deal with this issue of getting myself and my thoughts together about this police brutality, but then you dealing with somebody, one of your loved ones getting killed on the street. That's a murder. You will still be hurt, whether it was a police officer or somebody down the damn street. It hurts. Your loved one is gone. It snatched before their time. It hurts like hell. Or even if you see one of your loved ones on hospice care, they could be so healthy that 1 minute and full of life, and then get cancer or any type of illness, and you look at them, you don't even know them anymore. You don't know what somebody is dealing with. So please be diligent. People are fragile nowadays. Easy, like we're already broke. Please don't put nothing else on anyone. Like, take the COVID serious, because it's serious. Like, this world is showing us that they don't care. It's all about the money. That's what it's about. When I always tell you, it's not about the income, it's about the outcome. Right now in the capitalist system, it shows you everything is about the dollar. People are dying. We had over 894 hospitalizations just in 24 hours with this COVID. It's real bad. So I am glad at least that they're trying to make sure the baby's okay. But meanwhile, they're sending babies to camp. Like, I go work at my job, and I'm scared as hell. Like, if I'm going to bring something back home to my family, and you ain't even got to do it that way. You can just go to the restaurant or wherever. Just go picking up groceries at the grocery store and catch it. It's real. So just protect yourself, and at the same time, we got to stick with each other. Like, check on your loved ones. lift somebody up, because you don't know what somebody is suffering from. People suffer from mental illness every day in all type of ways. Just because somebody's not talking about it or they're smiling does not mean that they're suffering silently. So I don't care whatever issue it is. Please, if you have an issue, you know my number. Anybody can call me at any time. I'm there for you. I don't even get sleep at night, so call me anytime. Call me anytime, or just be that person that somebody can call. Sometimes they don't want to hear your comments. Sometimes they just want you to listen. They just need that shoulder to cry on. Just be there for each other. And that's all I gotta say. So before we go out, this is a clip where I remember when Eric Gardner was murdered, and my brother, he brought me, Mr. Salon, he took me there to New York, me and my family, and I was letting them know what happened to my brother Tyrone West. And it said that even in Eric Gardner's case, we see him choked out, but this corrupt system will tell you, oh, he was a walking time bomb. He was going to die anyway. What kind of foolishness is that? That is horrible. We see a man choked out just like with George Floyd, but never forget about the men, the women, the babies, the people that have been choked out by law enforcement waiting for it. My brother Tyrone West died with a foot on his neck. So keep Stephen Clark family in prayer. Keep Jarrell Gray family, Anthony Anderson family. The list goes on. And even if it ain't by police talks, just by the community violence alone, all the names that my brother Brian read tonight, those are somebody's loved ones. Their life is forever gone, torn, just gone. You know, until they, you know, just realize how to cope with their new life. Once your loved one is gone, that old life, that yesterday of you doing things the way you did it, that is over with. That's a whole nother life. You might as well kiss it goodbye and enjoy your new life the best way you can. Just taking, you know, life, you know, as it is, a beautiful experience, because this is a day that we have never seen, and this is a day I promise you that we will never ever see again. So with that, live to love, love to live. I love you all, and I will see you guys again next week. Mic check.
Mic check.
A brother named Tyrone West. She comes from the city of Baltimore. I asked her to come and bring some of her constituents with her because the case is similar. Her brother was murdered by multiple police. The same way. He was beat down, he was smothered by police, and he died at the hands of police in Baltimore City. This sister got a story, and I want her to tell her story right here in New York City.
Tell your story, right? Tell it. Tell it.